Hello and welcome to Pickle's Garage. Today we're going to be doing a compression test, which is fairly universal. The main purpose of this is to make sure that you have decent compression in each cylinder, because if you don't, then you have a leak somewhere. Typically that's going to be pistons, piston rings are failing, in which case you could start to get blow-by, where you have oil in the cylinder, and naturally that doesn't burn the same, so you'll see smoke out the back. It could also be valves, but a lot of the time this is based on finding if your rings are bad and you have blow-by. Other potential issues, if you have multiple cylinders right next to each other that have equally low pressure, it could be a head gasket, just because that would be another leak that is in the system. So without further ado, we're going to start getting into it. It's fairly straightforward. If you have any of these older vehicles, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get yourself a kit. This I got on Amazon, I believe. It is the cheaper option. I don't think that you should go with the cheap option. I'm going to make sure that this even works properly. I know I don't really have this issue with this car, but this just doesn't register very well, but the concept is still the same. So I wouldn't get the cheap option, but we're going to go ahead and get this done with this kit today. You're also going to want to disconnect your ignition, right? So you'll just disconnect this. If you have an HEI distributor, that battery wire, you can just pull that out as well. That way the car's not going to start while you're doing this. But first, remove ignition coil like that. And then we're going to remove our spark plug for the desired cylinder that we're testing. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this real quick with my 5/8. So your kit will come with a few different fittings. You're naturally just going to go with the option that fits into where your spark plug just was. And so I'm going to go ahead and screw this bit in, and then I'm going to get someone to help crank the engine, or if you have one of the starter guns, you can do that as well. And we're going to see what compression we have on this cylinder. This actually came with the optional extra shelf, so I might be able to do this myself. So let me see if I can get the camera positioned while I crank on it. And there you go. So I'm able to see that this cylinder in theory has just under 75 PSI for that cylinder. So, and then what you do is you just keep going around to each of your spark plugs and checking each cylinder. Like I said, if you have two right next to each other, then you know that it's probably going to be more of a head gasket issue. If you have them kind of sporadic around, then it might be bad rings. So I would look up what manufacturer, what your specific manufacturer, I should say, recommends for the PSI for each cylinder. I would say on average you should be close to 100. So if you hear people talk about having, horsepower loss over the age of the engine, usually they're talking about something similar to this, where if you don't have the same compression, then you're losing power, and ultimately you'll have a dead hole and it won't work as well. So wanted to throw this together quickly. Hopefully this helped answer some questions, or at least point you in the right direction. As always, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.